So, welcome to our journaling exercise. So, I want to talk to you about journaling and how it can help to support your both mental and your physical health. So, I'm Ali Hutchinson. I'm an intuitive health coach if I've not yet met you. And along with Sam Fielding, I've been working in this fresh year of freedom to really bring you something different to think about each week as we've moved through the year of 2024. And because it's been such a beautiful experience, we're continuing it into the year. And with for February, one offering a week. So it was going to be our fermenting this week. But because Paula has had to postpone, I have stepped up and I'm doing my journaling workshop with you. So I love journaling. I trained as a journalist many years ago, and I love getting my thoughts out of my head and down onto paper. And as a teen, I used to write poetry. I used to read poetry. I should have pulled it out, but I've got a little book somewhere. I can't see it on my bookshelf straight away, that had poems that I used to take out of magazines or things I was reading, books I was reading, just tiny little passages that I could reuse for inspiration. And there are many ways that you can use journaling to support your mental and your physical health. So I'm going to share some of those with you. And I'm also going to share some creative journaling exercises with you because I did a creative journaling workshop last week, which was apt. And I thought I would just share some of the things that they shared with us. So there is lots of scientific evidence around how journaling can support you. So it can support both your mental and physical health. It can also support your memory. So there are lots of studies into journaling. And one of the studies by the Royal College of Psychiatrists showed that just journaling for 15 to 20 minutes a day for 3 to 5 times a week over a 4 month period actually lowered blood pressure and improved liver function. So if you're looking at your blood pressure and thinking, how could I actually support myself through diet, through exercise, but also through journaling, it's a great one. And the Complementary Medicine Journal as well found that both depression and anxiety are often accompanied by negative thoughts. So journaling that reduces that stress and anxiety. And why does it do that? Because journaling allows you to get those thoughts that are sort of pouring around your head onto paper and to process them in a more analytical way. So it's a sort of a non-emotional way of processing. So you can respond more appropriately than if they're just sort of all around in your head. So let's just talk about journals to start with, and then we'll talk about some of the things you can do with them, and I'll share a little bit more research. There's no right or wrong to the way you journal. So this is one of my old journals, and it's beautiful because it actually has some prompts in it. So you'll get to a particular page, and it says things like, when I tune my energy with appreciation, the more the universe will deliver. Let me read that again. When I tune my energy with appreciation, the more the universe will deliver. Or here we have design your day and clarify your desires by answering the following questions. How do I want to feel? Who do I want to be? What do I want to receive? What do I want to give? Reaffirm how you want to feel. And you can actually just fill in those questions. Or there's lots of blank pages that you can just put your own thing. It's also really lovely to be able to put things that you've drawn, artwork, something that you're working on. I don't know what this is going to be. What is it? Oh yes, piece of artwork that I've put trace over. I'll talk about that in a minute. So it's a great way of just using it if you've got something with prompts in. Otherwise, you might just pick up a journal that you really like that, has just got blank paper, and you belong among the wildflowers. Just a nice statement on the front. Or you might have just a really tiny little journal that actually you can have in your handbag. And this has got like little dots in it, if you can see that. So it's really great if you want to draw in straight lines and things like that. Or if you want to draw sort of mandalas and things as part of your sort of mindfulness. So having chosen your desired journal, and it could just be a few bits of paper stapled together, what are you going to use it for? So there are lots of different techniques. What I would say is a journal isn't a diary. So it's not what we think of as a diary from like those teenage years where you didn't want people to see it and you like, had a little padlock. And if your mum or your sister or sibling found it, you were like, oh. But it's a kind of sort of nurturing your inner voice. So it's a loving inner voice that you can use to nurture yourself. And it's really great if you get obsessive thoughts that are, often run away with you, because you become the observer of those unhelpful thoughts, limiting beliefs, anything that you're thinking about. And therefore you can put them into a more positive spin. You can actually see how you're thinking and put it into that spin. So ways that I like to think about it is I like to have a journal by the bed. So you might do morning pages. So it might just sit there overnight, and then in the morning you have it beside the bed. It's the first thing you see, and you get up and you scribble things. So you can get sort of a clearer mind. It might be that you use it for list writing first thing in the morning. And you can actually, if you find that you get overwhelmed in a day, that's a brilliant exercise to get your thoughts onto paper and then to find that you're not overwhelmed. Then it's beautiful if it's by your bed to look back at it at night. So you might want to offload what's happened in your day, particularly if you're finding you're going to bed but you're not sleeping well. You might just like to journal and offload. It's a really good opportunity to empty your mind and also to look back at what you wanted your day to accomplish or to be, or how you wanted to feel in your day, and then did actually that happen? So I love to say, at the beginning of my day, today I'm so grateful for, and list the things that I know are going to happen, the meetings I'm going to have, the places I'm going to go, and how I want those experiences to be. And then at the end of the day, I say, I'm so grateful that, and I've experienced all those things. And I think when you sort of pre-select those experiences, those feelings you want, the universe is helping you to deliver that. And one of those things is I also use my Healy for that. So when I'm using my Healy, I will put in that sort of affirmation in the positive. So say I've got a big presentation that I've got to do. I will put an affirmation around that into the Healy, and I will say something like, I'm so proud of myself and the way I presented to the audience today, how I managed to engage with them, and how many conversations it sparked because of the interest that they took in the information I was sharing. And then I would run that into my coaching app, and I would let that run to see which of that wheel were the sort of spokes of the wheel in terms of, is it my career? Is it my relationships? Is it my personal relationships, my family relationships? Is it my spirituality? Is it my finances? Is it my goals? Is it my emotional well-being that is holding me back from achieving that goal? And then Healy would flow those vibrations, and it would come up with a set of individualized statements that would be true to me and that I resonate with. So supporting me in bringing me back into coherence with that goal that I want to achieve. And equally, I might then also write that into my journal in the morning. So I'm so proud of myself at the beginning of the day of how my presentation went. And then at the end of the day, when I'm reviewing my day, I say how it went. And obviously, if it wasn't so good, I'd be able to review it in a different way. But I can say, I'm so proud of the way I managed to tackle the what do you call it when people shout at you, like when comedians have that people shouting at them, and it was like, oh my goodness. But I'm so proud of the way I handled that. You know, whatever happens, I can still be grateful for that experience, and I would put that in my journal. Or the other way I would use my Healy for something like that, I would be running a frequency at the same time as presenting. So for me, I love the courage programs that just enable you to sort of stand a little bit taller. I love all the programs that are around jobs and mental health. So looking at, you know, anxiety, stress, looking at concentration and focus. I think they're beautiful for when you're in those tricky job type situations. Also, I love it for there's a program called Potency, and for me, Potency like makes me feel expansive, like I can sort of open my heart and share from an inner voice. So it's a beautiful program to use for that. Other things you might use your journal for. So you might put those positive affirmations in there. So in the same way that you might be using them in your Healy and running them through the coach, you might actually put positive affirmations in there. And there's a study in the Journal of Social Cognitive and Affective Neuroscience that used MRI scans to reveal that practicing self-affirmation activates the reward centers in your brain. So simply saying to yourself, I will earn that promotion, will light up those same reward centers that respond to pleasurable experiences, such as, you know, eating your favorite food or winning a prize at something. So it fires up those neural pathways, and it makes those changes in those areas of the brain that make you stay happy and positive. So again, using your journal for those affirmations is beautiful. And you might only write them out once, but you might find, actually, I want to write a page of the same affirmation. And don't see it as like I'm writing lines like I did at school. I'm sure none of you ever had to go and see the head and write lines. But see it as like with every time I write this beautiful affirmation, I'm affirming that to myself and really bringing that into my being. You might write it your goals for the day. I love to do mind maps, and I wonder if there is a mind map in one of these that I can show you if you don't know how mind maps work. I don't think there is. We probably have done a mind map on a blank piece of paper. But basically, with a blank piece of paper, you would put something in the middle. So say your mind map might be around like a party you're organizing. So here's the party I'm organizing, and I'm a little bit stressed about it because I've got all these things to pull together. And then from that center point, you would have lots of lines going out and lots of different activities. So you might have a cluster of activities here for the catering and a cluster of activities here for who you're inviting. And then from that, you might go, okay, so what are the things that I need to think of while I'm inviting? And do I need invitations? Do I need RSVPs? Who else needs to know the numbers? And that mind map sort of is just a way of dumping all those thoughts onto the page. And then you can redo it to put it into a better order if that's how you want to work. But that's really lovely. You might have one page that you go back to again and again that you just put your strengths on. So things that go right for you or things that you've done today that you're proud of. And that's about building your confidence and just affirming the things that you're really good at. I like to have a page that maybe has 21 things that I've achieved in my life. And it would just be sort of, everything from your first swimming badge, like, 25-meter swimming, up to, your degree if you've done one, or, a job that you're really proud of, to birthing a human being, things that you're really proud of. And often we can't think of things that we're proud of. But when you get asked to write that list of 21 things, it's amazing what you can pull up and go, oh my goodness, I have achieved such a lot in my life. And sometimes we need reminding of that. You might use it for self-care. So it might be, I love to teach my nutrition clients just some self-care tools that they can have to support them, so that maybe when they're going a little bit off track, they've got something else that in a toolkit that they can come back to. And you might have a page that has all those self-care tools in it, so that when you're feeling that you need a bit of support, you can literally go straight back to that page and go, okay, which of these things am I going to do? Am I going to have a spa bath? Am I going to do a face pack? Am I going to pick up a really good magazine? Am I going to phone a girlfriend? You know, what is it I'm going to do? And it just gives you that support. Equally, you might just journal on what makes you happy when you're doing self-care and how it makes you feel, so that actually the next time you're thinking, oh, I really ought to do something with the kids rather than my self-care, you go, no, actually, I will go and run that bath because the kids are old enough to be on their own downstairs for an hour or half an hour while I'm in the bath, actually giving me some time for me. And you can guarantee when you get back downstairs, actually they'll be fine, but you'll have a much nicer time with them because you've had that time to really nurture and support yourself. You might use it just for expressing those emotions and feelings. So if things are a little bit, out of balance, you might just want to take some deep breaths, thinking about that lovely box breath where we think about, instead of counting our breath, we literally breathe in and imagine a square, breathe out, breathe in, and breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, and breathe out. And then you can, if you want to extend it, you can breathe in and hold and breathe out and hold. Breathe in and hold and breathe out and hold. And obviously I'm doing that quite quickly because I'm talking, but you might extend that so it's a much longer breath that really is about then just helping you to settle from that sympathetic nervous system, our fight and flight, which so many of us are in all the time, to our parasympathetic nervous system, our rest and digest, that is just supporting you in really just calming down that nervous system. And then you might want to focus inward to your body, and you might notice the feelings in your body, and you might scribble down how your body's feeling. And if you've got a pain in your shoulder, you might think about how that pain feels and how that pain makes you feel, and the things about it. And then you might actually take those sensations away and just notice other things that are going on around you emotionally, physically, etc. So it's a really good way of doing that. You might find you just want to draw, or you just want to use your imagination to play. And I love to do like a squiggle and then colour in different parts of the squiggle in different colours. It's a really therapeutic way of using your journal. And there might be some days when you don't want to write a word. You literally just want to scribble in black ink on that page. It's absolutely fine. It's your journal. You can do what you like with it. One of the things that we picked up at our creative writing workshop last week was when you want to journal something, but again, a little bit like we were talking about at the beginning with the diary that you don't want anyone to see, you don't want anyone else to read it. So a thing to do then is to journal and get it all out and all on paper. You can either take that page away and you can burn it, you can drown it so it all goes wishy-washy, you can bury it so no one will see it, or you can leave it in your journal and you can paint over it. So you could paint over it in any colours, any pictures or anything, or like with oops, I'm losing everything, hang on. Well, like with my picture here, so I did this with pastels. So this trace is over the top so that it doesn't run onto every page. But you might find you put a piece of trace over the top and then you write over the trace so that actually the bit underneath you can't see. Or you might find that you write and then you write on top without looking at what the words are underneath. So you just keep writing until actually it's just words on the page, but it all blends in and nobody could actually read any of it, even if they wanted to. A beautiful thing that one of the girls that was leading the workshop last week shared was how you use collage on your work. So this was a piece of collage that I did. I'll show you. So I started with some oracle cards, and I pulled out an oracle card and it had this hare on it. So I read what was the hare's mission and what that was telling me. And then I drew the hare onto my paper, and then I just stuck lots of things around it. So I've got like a little bit of a mandala here. I've got like obviously flowers. I've got this lovely little butterfly. And then I've got this map. Wait, wrong way. I've got this map. And then on the map, what I was trying to get is all the roads. So when you feel like you're on the wrong path, all the roads lead to the same destination. So some of them I've put this gold thread through the map to show that they're all going to the same direction. And often we find that we're going round and round in circles. But actually, when we're off that and we're going, very rarely is a map a straight line. I mean, obviously the Romans built, straight roads, but very rarely are our roads straight lines. And our journeys tend to be like that too. The other thing that the girls did is they had a journal, and they created like little doors like this. So they had a page and it had maybe 4, 5, 6, 7 doors. And it was about, these are the doors that are closing for me right now. And under each door was an image of something that they felt like they were losing. And then on the next page, here are the doors that are opening for me. So here are the things that these doors closing are actually going to generate in my life. And I remember when I was one of my first jobs in London in publishing, I got made redundant. And the guy who was making me redundant, who was a really nice guy, said to me, Ali, out of things that seem bad come some marvelous new opportunities. And I'm sure at the time I rolled my eyes. But interestingly, I wrote it down in the book I was telling you about at the beginning, which I've still got. And I've lived with that. And I often repeat that to people now. Out of the things that seem bad come some marvelous new opportunities. So when you think about those doors closing, there's often, we say, don't we, when God closes a door, he opens a window. There's often something else going on that is better for us. And I think often we find that we think it's bad now, but actually things get better, which I think is just beautiful. So coming back to some of the scientific research as we come to an end, cultivating gratitude in your journal, can be particularly around specific health benefits that are indirectly tied to your experience of how you sleep and how you promote your long-term health. So what Robert Emmons, who was doing a PhD in researching gratitude, found was it significantly increased optimism, which indirectly affects happiness and health. So it increased 10% of people slept longer, and when they woke more restful. It increased interpersonal relationships, so people felt less lonely and isolated. 25% felt that they had higher activation, so they were more alert, they were more alive, they felt more joy and more pleasure. And 10 to 30% said, having created a gratitude journal, they exercised more and took better care of their health. So not only was it in helping their mental abilities, but it was also supporting their physical abilities too. And one of the reasons I think that works is journaling allows you to reflect on all the good things that are happening in your life. So it enables you to be grateful. So often we struggle with thinking about things that we're grateful for, but the more you get into that practice, the easier it is to think of more and more and more. So today you might just say, I'm grateful that, the sky is blue, or that was hot water in the shower, or that I saw a beautiful flower on the way into work. And tomorrow you can elaborate on that and you'll find more and more and more things to be grateful for. And often then the things that you're really grateful for are the tiny things that make such a difference, which is amazing. Um, the other thing that journaling allows you to do is to confront the things that you've experienced, so that instead of going around and round the process and just reliving it, you can actually take the time to process it. And in a 2002 study by a group of researchers, they found that actually journaling really improved the speed at which people recovered from episodes of both ill health and mental health. And finally, it improves your memory. So I thought this was a really interesting study by neurologist Judy Willis. And she said that it can enhance the brain's intake, processing, retaining, and retrieving of information. And it promotes the brain's attentive focus. So it boosts long-term memory. It illuminates patterns and gives the brain time for reflection. So it can be a source of conceptual development. And journaling allows both recording and processing of events. So remembering and reflecting. And therefore you are allowed to analyze those past events as patterns, which really supports us in that sort of neurological process. So some really interesting information around how journaling can really support you. I'd love to know how and when you journal. And if you want to share images of your journals with me on my social media or in the Facebook or WhatsApp groups, please do. And if you just need a few more tips and you want to chat to me, then let me know. The other thing that I haven't said is I've got on my mag today. So the Mag Healy is the Healy that supports our atmosphere. You can also activate your water with it, as well as putting it on you, etc. So although I'm running a program called Coherence, which is a beautiful program that I love to run when I'm talking to groups and also when I'm doing ceremonies and things, on the mag, when I'm journaling, I like to have either the study program on, which I think is about focus and concentration, or the creative program on. So often I'll use the creative program, both when I'm journaling and I want to get things out, but also when I'm doing that, if I'm doing any design work on Canva. I really love that for that. And there's a whole series of atmosphere programs that you can have a play with, but it really does enhance that process. So if you've been looking at the Mag Healy and wondering, gosh, how else could I use it in my life? This is just another tool that you can use it for. So I absolutely love that. So if you need anything else, please reach out to me. I'm happily share more and more research and also how to journal. And otherwise, go enjoy the rest of your week.